The monetary reform education is extremely fast. They are now all the way to the point where they are past the basket and talking to the Iraqi citizens about the future of digitization in their country. Digitization of their currency mainly will help at the onset because you cannot introduce too much currency at the start, not a cashless society at the onset, but given time Iraq will be. That is the goal. Question: do you think the RE is the linchpin for the Middle East? Could Iraq be like Dubai? Frank 26, it will be Dubai on steroids, my friend. Dubai won't even be able to touch Iraq. Question: Al-Sudani discusses with the British King establishing a productive partnership between Baghdad and London. Quote, Al-Sudani met today, Tuesday, with the King of the United Kingdom, Charles III, at Buckingham Palace in the British capital, London. During the meeting, bilateral cooperation between Iraq and the United Kingdom was reviewed, as well as ways to establish a productive partnership in various economic and development fields. There are 6 major projects happening in Iraq that will help to increase the country's GDP and economic status and hopefully the value of the currency. These are the news stories we will be watching closely in 2025. 1. The Development Road project involves constructing a 1,200 km network of railways and highways connecting the Grand Four port in southern Iraq to the Turkish border in the north. 2. Grand Four port aiming to become the largest port in the Middle East. 3. Total Energies energy projects. 4. Oil and gas exploration agreements. 5. National Development Plan launched in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, and supported by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. 6. Housing and urban development projects. 0.15 New cities across the country. I strongly believe Sudani and the US Treasury are watching the black market rate, and they will consider one of 2 options. First option would be a basket. I don't think that would be the best route. It can go that way, but I don't know. What's the other option? Float. Yeah, I think floating would be a good idea. Iraq's missing funds. Dubai in the circle of accusation, smuggling is still ongoing and Trump is coming. Quote, Dubai has become the largest point for smuggling Iraqi. I heard Pocket Options is showing the VND and Indonesian rupiah. Saw a screenshot, marks, we are seeing the popping up on different APS. IQD and IQD pairings with different crypto pairings, this is big. Iraq achieved a noteworthy diplomatic accomplishment last September when it was formally elected chair of the Group 77, held in the United Nations headquarters in New York. The G77 is the largest intergovernmental organization of developing countries in the United Nations, which provides the means to promote their collective economic interest and enhance their joint negotiating capacity on all major international economic issues within the United Nations system. So Iraq is going to go from not even having an international accepted currency to do all this. Really? I don't think so. In order for Parliament to approve those budget schedules, the rate needs to change first. The fact that they did the second reading the budget, that's the same as having one tire on your car. It doesn't do Iraq any good. It's basically a pointless, useless step. For the budget to work for Iraq, all of the budget amendments need to be approved. If you're doubting your investment, hang in there, because what they're saying is truly something I've never seen in my 15 years of being here, and the evidence is not from me and it's not from anybody else on the internet, it's directly from an economist and the central bank. I think it's huge, guys. It's exciting times, the stage is set. The monetary reform policy has been going through some steps. It has been evolving the policy and they've been using many mechanisms to assure this. Now they're sitting in a position, Sudani, the CBI and the US Treasury have been very close. The 8th floor of the CBI building, that whole floor, belongs to the US Treasury. You think they're going to be there because they're going to keep the exchange rate at 1,310. He added that these correspondent banks can carry out the process of changing the Iraqi dinar to any global currency immediately, and for more than 1 million banks around the world. What did it just tell us? 1 million banks around the world. What does this mean to us as investors? We know that, conditions to get back to Forex, that this insurance part is a pillar of the financial reform. Therefore, it is a reform that needed to take place and is now taking place. Also, I want to add that the statement of changing the Iraqi dinar to any global currency immediately is an amazing statement. Could this news get any better at this time? Can this be what is holding up the revaluation and the reinstatement? Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani met today, Tuesday, with the King of the United Kingdom, Charles III, at Buckingham Palace in the British capital, London. A statement from the Prime Minister's office stated that during the meeting, bilateral cooperation between Iraq and the United Kingdom was reviewed, and ways to establish a productive partnership in various economic and development fields. Cooperation in the field of confronting the challenges of climate change, and opportunities to enhance cultural cooperation, were also discussed. Al-Sudani expressed his appreciation for the official invitation he received to visit Britain, stressing Iraq's determination to consolidate constructive bilateral relations in various fields, in a way that enhances the mutual and sustainable interests of the Iraqi and British peoples. In return, King Charles III welcomed Al-Sudani, pointing to the depth of the historical relationship between Iraq and Britain, and the prominent importance that the governments of the two countries attach to developing common interests and understandings at various levels, according to the statement. The former Iraqi Minister of Electricity, Louay al-Khatib, warned on Tuesday that the state would be unable to pay the salaries of government employees within 2 years at most, and while he saw that the feudal style would lead to inevitable collapse, he revealed the cost of rebuilding Iraq as a whole. Al-Khatib said in a tweet on Twitter, X, previously, which Shafaq news agency reviewed, "What we need in Iraq is to master building the state on solid foundations, but what has happened since the collapse of the dictatorship in 2003 is the establishment of fiefdoms that live on the care of private and factional interests and a clientelistic private sector as fronts for political groups that benefit, which has limited the attraction of real investments and hard currency. This style of governance will lead to inevitable collapse due to the lack of social justice and economic sustainability, and the spread of political, financial and societal corruption." He explained that the deficit rate in the federal budgets reached 40%, and if the situation continues without a radical reform of the economic system in Iraq, and if the cash reserves are affected in light of the fluctuation or collapse of oil prices, the value of the local currency will collapse and the state will be unable to pay the salaries of public employees.